was always a pain. So we built a platform to make that easier. And then we try to do stuff to kind of bring, like, a lot of times when people travel for races, everybody's spread out across a bunch of different properties and Airbnbs. And we try and have a couple of home bases where people can all kind of get together and, if they want, just make it more social, do pre-race strategy calls to get people together. We bring in, yeah, we bring in sometimes, like this time we'll have Goo and Hoka having little welcome packages for you guys, so you feel kind of almost like an elite athlete. So that's what we're doing. So nice to meet you all.
Very cool.
And thank you, Maggie and Megan.
Yeah, thanks, Hillary. Okay, well, yeah, it's going to be a convo, but I'm going to give Megan some kind of topics to chat about, things I want her to, that I would like to hear about. Sorry, I'm going to keep trying to let people in when I see it pop up. Yeah, I'm really sad. I'm recording this call so it can be like viewed later, and I missed the whole introduction that I gave on Megan, so I don't know. I'll have to write it in the description. Okay, well, yeah, I think, all right, so I asked you this question first when we were just chatting before, but I think that, I don't know, remember when I ran states for the first time, like it dawns on you at some point that it's such an iconic race and that you're on the course, wherever that may be, wherever it may hit you. I know Sarah, for one, has waited 10 years to get into this race at least.
Yay.
So, yeah, can you talk about what Western States means to you?
Yeah, it's I already told Maggie, this is a loaded question, or a really big question, because I've sort of built my whole running life the past 20 years around it. And I thought of this earlier today. It's really about the family of the people who have put this together, and that the Western States family must exist in order for the race to happen. And the Western States family will continue to exist without the race. But the race cannot exist without that family. And the family is, generations of people who have put the course together, have worked together year after year. Families, fathers, daughters, have just built this sort of tiny little empire of community and over this beautiful terrain. And it's an adventure while you're out there, and you're so supported and so encouraged. And as Maggie said, the course is just spectacular. And it's the first year I went was 2005 to pace a friend, and I was hooked right away. Just the trails were beautiful. We all love trail running. That's why we're here. And you get everything but desert sand, so which I hate. So it's kind of perfect. And the more you go, the more you get sucked back in, and it just has been the focus of my life really the last 20 years in one way or another. I'm happy to run in it. I'm happy to volunteer at it. I'm happy to crew or pace. I'm just happy to be there, watch it all. The nice thing about not being in the race is I actually get to see it. It was several years before I actually got to see people running in it besides where I was. And it's just, there's so many things that stand out year after year. There's just so many different stories, and every year it's a big question mark. What new experience am I going to have today after even running it 13 times? It's like, what's different? What problem am I going to have to solve? Who am I going to meet? It's your family gets bigger every time. So that's kind of in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think that's why we run a lot of the races we repeat all the time, because you could run together with someone for like half the race or a very small portion of the race, and you're like friends for life somehow.
Exactly.
I mean, it's really cool. Are there any parts of the course that you look forward to the most? See, like, that changes? Are they all kind of different each year?
I love getting to Forest Hill and running the Cal Street Loop down to the river. And it's kind of interesting that it's called the Cal Street Loop. There's no loop. and Cal Street's about 1 block long. But anyway, name stick. But that's you've got through the high country, which is can be traumatic, especially the first time. It's really hard because you're at 7,000 feet and you're nervous because you're finally there. And it's easy to get you can get a little too carried away. And then the canyons are hard because they're so steep and they're pretty hot. And then you finally get to Forest Hill and it's like this breath of fresh air. The temperature has generally cooled down quite a bit. It's a big parade or people are watching the parade that you're in. And so tons of support. And then as soon as you get out of Forest Hill and you're on the Cal Street, the trail down to the river, it gets really quiet. It's like, where'd all my fans go? But that's when you pick up a pacer too. You can pick up a pacer. So yeah. So yeah, Cal Street's kind of my favorite.
Kathy, I'm just going to throw you on mute. I think you're getting some feedback there. So when you're ready to unmute yourself, please do. Yeah.
Am I unmuted now? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. But I muted. If you can mute, there's some background noise coming from your.
Oh, you want me to mute it again? There's background noise?
Yeah, but unmute it when you want to jump in and ask a question or chat or anything. I just want to let you know you're muted. Megan, that brings me to a question about like the change of the sport, because you were talking about spectators, and like I remember Korean Kara last year, and we were watching the live stream of like I think I watched it later because I had to leave immediately to go to the aid station. But the amount of people on the escarpment, like that first climb, was wild. Like, I mean, there must have been at least 200 people up there, and that wasn't like that before. Like, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in 20 years in this race?
Yeah, I think really it's in the number of people that come to watch. And yeah, that is really cool on the escarpment. Those people have to get up so early and it's so cold and it's a big ass climb to get to the top. But last time I ran was 2022 and I got to experience that, bigger crowd up at the top. And that was really fun because it's a tough climb to get up there. So really mostly it's the size of the crews and there's more corporate sponsorship, or I should just say companies that are there with their tents and their, like big Hoka tents and big CTS or GU. You see a lot more of that. And I think those sponsors have, they have runners there. They have more money now. So they're bigger into the sport. But what's really cool is, and I will stand on a stack of Bibles to say that I really think that the spirit of the race when you are in it hasn't changed. And that is because of this family. The aid station captains don't change every year. It takes several years for an aid station captain to change. And that aid station captain is going to have basically the same volunteers year after year. Let's say 80%, just as a guess. And you are running with 390 people. That's it. Then that's not going to change. The thing that is different while you're running is, and I was talking to AJW today about this, and I think he said now the number of first timers in Western states is 83%. And that's not going to change probably because now you get in once, and that's probably the only time you're going to get in. So you're surrounded by a bunch of people who have not done the race before. Not that you're going to get lost or anything, and hopefully everyone's got a good experience and people they've talked to about it and been on the course. So that is a difference, but there are people out there who have run it, and it's fun to try to find one and try to get as much beta and help as you can along the way. But the spirit is the same, and the course, it only changes occasionally because of fire or some landslide or something like that. but it's the same. And the love that goes into maintaining that trail is still the same.
Yeah, I think there's some stat about how many volunteers per runner is. Do you remember this stat?
Well, I think there's 15 to 1700 volunteers. And
Okay.
there's, what is that, 5 to 1?
Divided by 390. So I'm good at math. That's a lot of volunteers. So that made me think of, I've had front of the pack experience to back of the pack experience in the same race, because I had two vastly different races back-to-back years. And 2016 turned out fine. 2017, I mean, I remember I think I started out with you, actually.
Yeah.
We were on the snow. It was very snowy, and we ended up passing Camille, falling on the snow at one point, and muddy. And I just felt no energy. And I mean, I dragged myself through the race because I was like, it's Western States, I need to finish. Like, you know what I mean? And I had the F8 bib on, and I remember I got to Hal's aid station, which is like, well, it's a different aid station now. I forget.
It's basically mile 90.
Yeah. Okay. And so like it's the next morning, and I have the F8 bib on, and people see me come in and they're like, oh, good for you. So I was still out there.
They know right away. She doesn't want to be here this late in the day, but she's still here. Bless her heart,
Well, and I felt like you were treated the same by all the volunteers coming through as in the front, when you're in the front of the race, as the back of the race. The volunteers have been out there all night. They are still giving you're usually the only person there. It's so spread out by mile 90 or any of the aid stations. Yeah. Like you feel so important and special, like no matter where you are in the pack. Exactly. And I mean, people have like a million crews, and I'm part of a 60-person crew for Terra Dower this year. So, and there's no limits on how many people can be on your crew, but and that makes sense. But I guess, their volunteers are so amazing that you just have so much help when you don't see crew. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think another good thing to talk about would be, and is everyone here going to the training camp? Are you guys all in the camp? Sweet. Okay. What would be some of the best, like, how can they make the best of the training camps? Like, what are some things to keep in mind? And, it's going to be fun, but like, it's also training. So,
yeah, I would emphasize the fun part and take in as much scenery as you can, because likely on race day, you're going to spend a lot of time looking at the trail in front of you and not try not to fall down. There are some spectacular views. See, after leaving Robinson Flat, there are some really nice views on a ridge that when you look back to the south east of the mountains, so you don't want to miss that. If it's hot, go when you get to Swinging Bridge, you can go down to the river below there, and you can get in the water. The water is beautiful. It's the North Fork of the Middle Fork of the American River. Learn as much as you can from the people around you. At camp, it's likely going to be a lot of people who have run the race before and live nearby. And don't be in a hurry, because you do have plenty of time to make the cutoffs. You don't really have to, take enough fluids to get to each aid station, because there aren't as many as there will be on race day. But yeah, I would soak in as much of the scenery as possible and try to etch those things in your mind, so on race day it's not brand new, and that really helps a lot, I think, with nerves. The canyons, the first canyon is a fairly short descent. It's on a trail called the Precipitous Trail. It's a little bit rocky. And that's when you come to Swinging Bridge. And then right after that, you're going to go up the hardest climb of the race. And then think about, as you're doing that on race day, it's likely going to be the hottest part of the day. So just keep that in mind when you're there at camp. Oh yeah, this is where I should make sure I get really wet before I head up to the top. because of the fires, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, it's burned out and it's very exposed. So yeah, you can get in the river, or also right across the bridge, there's a creek that comes down into a fairly large creek crossing, and you can sit in it, you can get wet in it, you can actually drink the water. It's a spring, it comes right out of the rocks there. But that's another one to just really be very mindful of and think about on race day, that you know it, and that's a real bonus. The second canyon is El Dorado Canyon, and that's after you come up to Devil's Thumb. And it's a really sweet, runnable descent, but it's about 4.5 miles. So towards the bottom, it gets steeper and steeper. And again, great to experience before the race, because it can feel really tough to get steeper at the end. Your little toes won't like it so much. And that's fairly shaded. And that creek is harder to get into, but on training camp weekend, there will probably be a lot of people in it if it's hot, because you have time. And on race day, there is an aid station there. And then the climb out from there, again, very shaded until you get towards the top. And that climb it's not awful, or I shouldn't say it's not as hard as the climb to Devil's Thumb. And then you get to Michigan Bluff. Michigan Bluff is like the first of the great, hurrah, we're here. There's usually a lot going on at Michigan Bluff. And so it feels good to get there, and your crew can be there, and you may not have seen them since Dusty Corners. And then leaving Michigan Bluff is also another one to like, oh yeah, that's right. This is another hot, exposed grind to get out before you hit the last canyon. And the last canyon, sometimes it gets overlooked because it's pretty short. It's called Volcano Canyon, but it's also quite steep, and it feels a little like you're a little toasted by the time you get to that one. But the creek there is also one you can completely lay down in. So I guess one the keys are to stay wet during the race. It's always hot. It's just going to be hot. But yeah, those are the things I would be paying attention to at camp day one.
Give your crews ice cream money on race day, because Michigan Bluff sells ice cream.
Right. And hamburgers.
It's expensive, and the phones don't really work down there. They take Venmo, but usually you can't get it to work. So
yeah, take actually green money. Yeah. Or you can wait. If you're crew, you can also wait till you get back to Forest Hill and go to Wharton's grocery store and get a milkshake.
Oh,
those are awesome.
I've never been there. That's a good thing.
Oh, Maggie. Hold out. Yeah, hold out.
Forest Hill is very chaotic.
And yeah.
Hillary's going to stay for Western States now. She
I
had her milkshake.
Can't wait. They are so good. Yeah.
So day two, then it's
that's
Forest Hill to Rucky Chucky or Green Gate.
Rucky Chuck. So you go down to the river, and they'll have 2 aid stations that day also. And one's at Cal 2, which is the second. Oh, they have real names. Dardanelles. I don't know the real names, because we've always called them Cal 1, Cal 2, Cal 3, and Rucky Chucky. So Cal 2 is about 8.5 miles from Forest Hill. And there will be a big aid station there with some names. Tim Twaitmeyer will be there, Bob Crowley. There'll be some other, people that have run the race bajillion times. There's usually also mosquitoes there. So I don't like to work at that one. And then at Rucky Chucky, which is where the river crossing is, there will be an aid station there. And that's basically where the run is over. And then you still have to walk up to Driver's Flat, which is 2 miles. But basically people they run to the river. Most people get into the river to cool off, and then they can see where the steps they have to go down to get to the river crossing. But it's a kind of a gentle run after what you did the day before. It is a downhill section, but there are some climbs, so don't cry when you get to some of them. It's kind of sad. You get all the way down where you're just really close to the river, and then all of a sudden you have to go back up the steep hill. Yeah, so those things happen. So that's day
Do,
2. Go ahead, Maggie.
do we know if it's a raft year or a wade across year? Do they know yet?
I'm betting it'll be a wade because there's not much snowpack.
Yeah.
And that's the only time they can't control the flow of the water. Most years they can, the flow is controlled by the rafting companies because there's a dam upstream that they hold water back, and then the rafting companies let water out so that they can raft down. But for race day, they don't hold the water back so that it's already down. The level's already down.
Okay. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
so there's no real snowpack. So I think it'll be a regular crossing. Day 3 is from Green Gate, which isn't green, to the finish. And you'll take a bus out there and you'll get dropped off not at the gate because it's a treacherous road for a bus to get down to. It's treacherous for cars to get down to. So they'll let you off and you run. I think you run a couple miles before you actually get to the Green Gate. A lot of people like to run from there, actually want to run down to the river and then walk back up. It's 2 miles down to the river from Green Gate, 2 miles back up, but that also gives you a chance to see what that climb is like after you cross the river. You don't really need, well, you don't really have to. Most people will just get on the trail, and then you'll have one aid station at ALT, which stands for Auburn Lake Trails. And then there's no more aid until, gosh, almost towards the end after you cross No Hands Bridge, which is really close to the finish. And anytime you can see the river next to you when you're running, it's okay to go over and get in it. It's really beautiful water. Yeah, I think honestly that's about it. It is nice to see what the last 1.9 miles are like too, when you hit Roby Point and you have to, go up the pavement uphill, but there's generally people along the road there cheering people on. So it's really nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have can you think of any times where you've made massive mistakes, that you could talk about to kind of help people not do that?
I mean, the mistakes I made were in 2006, so hopefully everybody knows
There you
now
go.
that if you start getting hot spots in your feet, you need to take care of them before they become blisters, which I did not do. And I had horrible blisters. I had to walk the last 7 miles of the race because my feet were so trashed. Also, back in 2006, we did not have a grasp of sodium and hydration, and I got hyponatremic, so I felt very sick for a long time, but still didn't know why really, except that someone said, you should try some salt, and that definitely helped. Other mistakes, one year I really wanted to run Cal Street hard, like, okay, now this is the running part, and I'm gonna run Cal Street hard. That was a really bad idea. You should never run any of it hard, ever. None of it. Maybe when you get to the track, it's 100 miles. So, don't listen to other people what they're doing. Those are sort of the massive mistakes. I mean, I usually make a mistake or two.
Yeah,
Mostly, most people get behind on nutrition. It's just hard. It's hard to eat. It's hard to suck calories in for 24 to 30 hours. It's just hard. Yeah.
I think also with the feet thing, you're wet the whole race because people there's 5 volunteers with sponges every single aid station.
Yep.
And you should accept that. I know a lot of times, last year, Tara's I don't feel hot. I don't need that. You need it. You need to stay wet, what Megan said, and cool off. But your feet will be soaking wet, even though it's not a humid climate. You're just soaked the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your feet will be wet. So it's either change or figure it out ahead of time. A lot of people tape their feet now, but
Yeah, that's
Um,
been a thing too over the years. People have taped their feet with different types of tape jobs. My feet don't need it anymore. They've gotten used to the trauma and have adapted. I rarely get blisters. I usually lose a toenail or two, and that's fine. But I haven't had a blister in a very long time. But it took years. Um, but yeah, the main thing is to pay attention and take care of it before it becomes a problem. And even at Michigan Bluff, they have great foot care. If you've made it that far and haven't had your
oh
feet
yeah.
looked at from that point on, for sure, there's someone to look after your feet at every aid station. Real experts that can turn things around. Um, Other things that I've experienced or witnessed or I've heard about have to do with nutrition and um, nausea, vomiting, all those things. I've never thrown up in a race, but I know lots of people have. And I think for the less experienced runner who has that happening can freak out like, oh my God, I'm throwing up. It's over. Um, and it's not. I mean, if you have time, if you're, ahead of cutoffs, one of the best pieces of advice that I have heard and have given are to take a nap. And people they've stopped at an aid station, laid down for 15 minutes, laid down for 2 hours, whatever it takes to sleep and just reset your whole nervous system. And then leave the aid station nibbling. You don't want to, okay, I'm fine now and start eating and have it all happen again. But it's you can go a long way without food. You can't go a long way without water. So keeping yourself hydrated is way more important than eating, especially if an upset stomach has prevented you from eating. You're going to walk anyway, and then you're just going to be basically burning fat. You're fine. You can't go very fast, but you can keep moving forward. And if you can walk 15 minutes to 18 minutes a mile, you'll still finish. So remember that. There's always just keep moving forward. Yeah.
Also, if you guys have questions, please jump in. I'm going to keep peppering Megan, but if you have specific questions, I know Sarah's really experienced, so she's got like
Oh,
that,
good. Yay.
Not at
but
Western
she's
though,
not
so
run Western States. So her sister
Okay.
got in last year, so she crewed and she was just there. So
Oh, cool.
she's run a bunch
Excellent.
of it. I think you ran the last like 30 miles or something, 20,
22.
40,
Yeah, I paced a
22.
friend from Forest Hill to the river one year, and then last year paced my
Okay.
sister from the river to the finish, which was amazing. Like it was just awesome being out there with my
Yay.
twin. But yeah, I did have a question. I don't know, Maggie, if you wanted to keep going or
Yeah, no, go ahead, ask, because I
yeah.
got other questions to fill in,
I'll,
but it's
I just
for you
have
guys.
one that I've kind of been thinking about. Like I'm kind of working through how I want to like stay motivated when things get tough and like keep myself on the pace or effort that I want throughout the race. So thinking about goals within the race. Like you've been back so many times, you've had so much success there. How did you like to kind of think about coming back another year, knowing you've had such success? Like how did you approach like goal setting within the race in the moment to like kind of yeah, stay in it?
That's funny. Um, I always think I'm a little better than I actually am. Like, so I'm like, I like to have a high bar. I like to have something that I may or may not be able to achieve, but I don't want to have something that's going to be easy for me to get. I don't think that's particularly satisfying. Um, and I also expect that I will always do my best. And that's the only thing that would disappoint me is if I don't. And at that point, it doesn't really matter what my time is or my place is, as long as I executed as best as I could, took care of the problems, but kept going. But my latest mantra, because these things are really long, and in the moment, they feel immense, like you're in some infinity zone. But I tell myself now, tomorrow, this is just going to be a memory. And it's so true. And then you finish this massive thing that you thought you'd never get out of. And you're like, what was the big deal? Here I am, still alive. But all these great things happened. So trying not to think about how miserable you are, because at points things feel kind of miserable. It's like I'm here making these stories, and gosh, 10 minutes ago I was back there, and now I'm here. So it's just going to be memory. I get to pick what kind of memories are going to be. Yeah.
It is kind of funny because you train so hard for whatever race, and you get to like mile 60 and you're like, I can't wait for this to be over. And you're like, what? This is what we're waiting for. Like the whole time, especially someone like Sarah took 10 years to get in. Like this is a decade. Like you, David and Kathy, you guys are running states too? Like how long did it take you to get in? Is this your first time?
Yeah, 128 tickets.
Okay. Nice. Sarah, how many did you have? Was that same?
256 or whatever the number is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
256.
What about Kathy?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Is there background?
No, you're good now.
Okay, good. Yeah, I qualified this year. I hope to qualify for this year, but I qualified for next year. I had an injury in my qualifier, and I just went, oh, I've put all this training in, and it was late in the year. So I looked for another one, and my family couldn't come and no one could come. And I went off and I did it all by myself, and I qualified and just kind of went, and I know just what you mean. You finish it and you go, I just did that.
Yeah.
I just did that. And then I got 4 hours sleep and drove myself to the airport and flew home.
It. Yeah.
And Western States is what my kids, my one son and his kids and his family started going, and they said, Mom, you'll really like this. You need to come. And so I went with them the year that Courtney finished and smashed the record. And it was kind of a year of the women. And I have 3 granddaughters who were there. Right. And I watched her finish. And it wasn't just the finish or the time or any of that. It was that she was bouncing around and happy. And like, I was just going, she just ran 100 miles. And I was thinking, how far could I run and feel that way? So that has always been my goal, is to finish and still feel, not like I'm dying. Yeah. I mean, I'll be tired and that's okay. But to my goal to finish and still, feel good at the end. Yeah. And I've been just really lucky. I'm really old. I'm really old. And so
better not say.
Pardon me.
Better not say how old you are. Because I might be really old too, but I'm really old.
I'm older than you, I believe. I'll be 74 in July.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and
I'm 65. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a child.
I love it. I am a child. Child at heart, for sure.
I just keep doing it and going farther and going farther, and it feels it's so amazing, I work hard at every aspect of it. And I would like to ask you, Meghan, so it's, as I've gotten older, I find that hydration and nutrition are not just sort of optional at all. I mean, I have to keep up with it. And so I'm pretty good at that. But do you have any tips or ideas or, sweet little nuggets you could give us about, how, after a while, you're not as focused, and so I almost need to systemize it.
Yeah, you can. And that's one that's nice to have a pacer as well, because they can be your little stopwatch for you. And because even if you have a timer telling you, okay, it's time for another goo, actually getting it ingested can be hard. But if there's someone behind you telling you, encouraging you to keep eating, it's critical for everyone. I think some people can get away with less because they are younger. I don't know. But yeah, the slower we get, the more important it is, because we can't afford to slow down.
No, exactly.
So you can set your watch to time, like go off every 20 minutes and make sure that you get, or I would say 30 minutes. Women actually don't process carbohydrates as well as men do. So this whole high carb pendulum shift that people are 120 grams of carbs. Find what works and
Yeah.
stick with it. 50 to 60 grams of carbohydrate will be enough. That's
Yeah.
what you want to do. You want to do what's enough
Yeah.
and not more, because then you're just wasting money, honestly.
Yeah.
Find
Well,
the sweet spot.
I prepare all my own food. I'm vegan,
Okay.
and I'm a real believer in Scott Jurek's book, Eat and Run.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I was doing it before that. So I just have my tricks of things I carry, and then my crew will have those things for me, you know, which is my family. I mean, my granddaughter's up on the hill. She's here, and she's saying, "You got this, Grandma. You got this. Go." You know, and how can I not keep going? I mean, I have to go. So
You're her hero, yeah.
but anyway, yeah, the stuff I eat, but I love what was really helpful for me that you just said is that's when it's good to have a pacer. And I can't remember anymore what the age is, but I'm well beyond it. So I can have a pacer for the whole run. So
I don't think that's actually a rule or an allowance. It used to be before Thornley was the RD. I don't know. I could be wrong, but years ago, yeah, if you were over 60, I think you could have a pacer the whole way. But that was sort of a loose, out in the air rule. You can have a pacer at starting at Michigan Bluff if it's after 10 o'clock or at some point. If it's dark, then you can pick up a pacer at mile 55. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you can have a pacer the whole way.
I think different races have different rules, so there might be some where you could have. I think Hard Rock you can have a pacer.
You think that that's different at Western States?
Yeah,
I mean,
because they have such strict permitting rules for that wilderness area in the beginning. There was actually an issue with a blind runner wanting a guide, and it was like a whole thing. So it's pretty. It's pretty stringent and like restricting in that first section is the problem.
Right. I think with the blind runner, didn't they have to have one less runner get in?
Yeah, something. I forget. It was a little bit sticky, but yeah.
Well, that's really good to know. And since I sort of look at everything as well, okay, another year of training. I'm not far from the course where I live. And I have friends who have houses not right there, but in Tahoe. And so I can go stay with them. And then I intend to just run the course all summer, you know, as much as I can. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
So that's my training strategy, is just put in a lot of miles.
Well, getting to know the courses, man, most people don't get to do that.
I know.
AI is telling me that anybody over 60 can have a pacer starting at Michigan Bluff.
Okay.
Whether AI is 100% correct, because it does say consult the rules or regulations.
Yeah. So I think that's wrong. I think it's a time of day. If you get to Michigan Bluff and it's 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, there'll be a time where you can have a pacer regardless of your age. Because it just to aid you through the darkness, you know, it's company. Because I mean, you can get, you can get lost on that running.
I feel like a lot of 60-year-olds wouldn't get to Michigan Bluff before 10 p.m. anyway.
Yeah.
So I think maybe, I don't know.
That's not bad. 10 p.m. That'd be just fine.
That's good.
Yeah.
David,
that section. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask David, what are you looking forward to? Like, this a race you've applied to for like, a long time? What is your path here?
You know, I've been out and I've paced it before for a friend and had a lot of fun. And so just getting back, I mean, I think that maybe gave me a little insight. So I shouldn't say it doesn't have as much mystique, but I've at least experienced, some of the before race, after race, getting to run part of it. And so just to, get back out there and actually be in it as opposed to experiencing it, secondhand, I think is what I'm looking forward to.
Nice.
I did have a question about poles. You were talking about the climbs earlier. Do you, if you were to run it this year, would you be bringing poles, or do you think there's sections that's applicable or not? Don't even bother.
I would actually been talking about this morning. I would probably carry them the whole way because I do train with them, and the last couple of years I've been training for running in the Alps, so I'm pretty comfortable with them, and I really, really like them for climbing. I like them in parts of descents as well. If things get steep, I want some extra brakes. Or if if you get hurt, you've got crutches, so you can power through. But
Do
yeah,
they allow
that's what
poles
I
now?
would do. They do. This year was the first year. The
Oh,
board,
wow. Okay, cool.
yeah, new
I
rule.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's pretty exciting.
That's super helpful.
It's very helpful. Very helpful. I think for one thing, maybe the most important thing is it gives people an extra little help in finishing. And again, this is going to be most people's one and done, and they want to finish, and the race wants people to finish as well. So all about runner experience. Yeah. So yeah, I would just practice with them. If they fold up easy, you can always, stick them back in your pack if they become a nuisance. I think the only stretch where you probably wouldn't use them is once you get across the river at mile 78. I mean, you're climbing up to Green Gate, yeah, but you can even have crew there and leave your poles with the crew, and you wouldn't really need them for the rest of the race. But I could see using them until that point. Sarah, are you going to use poles?
No, I wasn't planning on it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I mean, are there other questions? We can kind of start to wrap it up, but this has been like a good combo.
Yeah. I will see you guys. I'm coming down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot to tell them that you're going to be there. What is your role during the weekend? You're going to be running and then doing something Sunday?
Yes. So I'm running Saturday all the way to the river, which is a kind of a traditional thing that many people have done. I've done it most times I've been at training camp. Run all the way to the river on the first day, so 50 miles, and then day 2, I'll work at an aid station. So I'll be at Recce Check on day 2. So find me and say hi. And then Monday I'll run with the run, and then Sunday evening, if y'all are interested, the film that Hillary Yang and Carrie Hyman created is about the women's race in general. And it's called Raise the Bar or Raising the Bar. Have you seen it, Maggie?
No, I haven't, but I shared it in the Halo kind of email because as people should go see it. I wish I could see it. I think they'll do something at Western States. I'm not sure.
Probably. Yeah, I got to see it, and I get to be on their little panel. So yeah, it's premiering Sunday late after Sunday at 5, I think.
Yeah,
it's a nice thing to do after being out in the sun and stuff. It'll be in a nice, cool theater, and get to meet more people. So,
Sarah, if you want to run 50 miles with Megan on the first day, maybe you could join her. Sarah loves running.
Yeah, I'll for sure. I saw the film, the RSVP. So my friend Joe Corcione, who also got into the race, and I sent it to him. I'm like, Joe, we gotta go see this film. So I'll definitely be there, for the premiere too.
It is really good. I mean, I knew it would be, but it's just better than I imagined it could be.
Mm-hmm. Carrie makes I haven't seen a ton of just Hillary, but with them teaming up is really cool. And Carrie and Tim have made such great films. It's really cool. So yeah, I'm excited to. I hope they do something at a showing. I know there'll be something between the week of Western States. They should probably haven't figured it out yet. There is a theater there in the village.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sarah, where do you live?
Durango, Colorado, same as
Maggie. You live in
Maggie.
Durango. Nice. You live at altitude. That's good. And David, where do you live?
I'm in Minneapolis.
All right.
Goodness.
I love Minnesota. Yeah. And Kathy, you
by the
I live just north of Chico. I definitely live in the country. I'm looking out my back window at the creek that runs behind my house. It's Mill Creek. And so I'm an hour from Lassen Park, and I do all my elevation training there. I was at 7,000 feet yesterday running hills.
good.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I love it.
Wow, my goal is to run as much as Kathy when I'm 74 years old.
Same. Yeah.
Really.
Wait and see. Let's see the rest of this story. I always, I, I was in total disbelief that I actually qualified for some period of time. I was just going, wow, I did that. I
What?
really didn't
That's
start
cool.
ultra
What?
running, until I was older. I don't know how people do it. I mean, I had a full-time job and family and, stuff and property, the same property. I've been on this property almost 50 years. So I don't know how you guys do it who have normal lives, and are younger. Anyway,
Balance or imbalance? I don't know.
hats off.
Kathy, what was your qualifier?
The one that I actually qualified in was Dinosaur Valley in Texas. And I wasn't sure I'd be okay because I took a really hard fall at Lake Sonoma. I'd been going there for a while, and I love Lake Sonoma, but California Fall Classic now at Lake Sonoma. But my son the two of us were trying to qualify and running together, and at mile 20, we both just looked at each other and said, I feel fabulous. I feel like we just started. And I said, yeah, let's go. At mile 22, going in with rocks, I caught a toe on a rock and I have a divot in my head, like a permanent little divot now. But that didn't slow me down. It was that my quad hit a huge rock and immediately turned into knots. And I walked, I had to go a mile and a half to get to the aid station where our crew was. And we were well ahead of pace, way ahead of pace to finish in good time. And I kept saying to my son, you should go. We're doing great. I'm okay, And he said, I'd worry the whole time, Mom. I can't do it. So he stayed with me. And we were at the end. We got there. And, all the people knew me. It was the third time I'd been there. And Skip took me over he said, how many times is this? And I said, 3. And he said, come here, I want a picture with you at the end. And it was, but then I didn't know if I'd be able to walk. And I got better. My foot was a mess. And so 3 days later, I tried a little jog. I could do flat. And on the weekend, I did a little up and down. And I said, maybe. The next thing was Dinosaur Valley, and they had openings. And it was, my family was really worried about me. But it's a loop run. And so you do the loop 6 times, 10.5 miles. And I said, there'll be people on the course. I come back to the same place. I'll have a great big bag with all my food in it. I grab and go. So they were, I have to say, super well organized, super friendly. That run, they have a vegan Nazi who runs the aid stations. He said, these people don't understand. They wanted to grill the hamburgers and heat up the vegan burritos on the same grill. I made him buy me a grill for every aid station. I was just going, oh my God. I hugged him every time I went by because the food was great. But, it's been a journey for me, and I have learned so much. And I have kind of a medical team that are all women runners, and they are just like fabulous. 3 women who follow me and cheer me on, and we're kind of problem solving. How do you be this old and keep running? And what do you need to know? And what do you learn? And I'm a writer too. I'm a retired educator, but I'm a writer. And there will be a book, for sure.
That's what I was going to say, Kathy. You need to write a book. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that folks who can do this into their 60s until we're, not here anymore is like the goal. That's everyone's goal. That
Exactly.
always work out, but you're well on your way to making that like a real, that's really cool. And the sport is so cool because I would never have met Meghan. Where would I have met Meghan? We didn't live near each other. We weren't in the same, friend group. We are different ages, and we've been friends forever. And Sarah and I mean, it's really cool. It's such a cool sport.
Yeah. I,
And it's so worth it.
a good friend that I've met through this sport is Doug Latimer. Do you know
Oh
Doug Latimer?
yeah.
Finished 14 times. He's
Yeah.
all except the time when he DNF'd. He's been in the top 10, and so he has his.
I think he's a fellow top 10er 10 times, right? 10 times.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah, he is. He's amazing, but he's 88 and still running. Still running.
That's
He runs
amazing.
4 or 5 miles a day in hills, on trails. I run with him periodically, you know, and I just pick his brain. I mean, I go,
Good.
he
That's
says,
good.
well, we didn't really prepare back then. The first time I ran it, they just had a bucket. He was on a snowmobile and he had a bucket. It's one of the guys who's been around forever. And he got a ladle and he gave me a drink of water out of the ladle. And I said, could I have another one? And he said, no, there's just one for each runner. And that was the first time I went, oh my God, those guys are heroes, you know?
I mean, that's what I was telling Megan about. No wonder we are seeing so many records go down, things we thought were impossible happening. There's like, yes, there's a lot of gear and technology, but what we know about nutrition and fueling is so much better than even just a decade ago. So like, it's super cool. Megan, before we sign off, do you have like one more last piece of advice, like one little thing that they could take to camp, to the run? Like what, you know, if you just could only say one thing about this, what would it be? This is a tough question.
I mean, I think you probably already think this anyway, but I guess when things feel like, why am I doing this? Just remember what a privilege it is that we get to do this thing. That as so our friend Liza Howard has a quote from someone else. Liza is an amazing runner, and she puts on a trail running camp for veterans. And one of the guys that comes to camp, he's Black, and she encouraged him to go on one of their band of runners backpacking trips. And he'd never, ever gone backpacking. And he called it the CSW PD, crazy shit white people do. And it's kind of what ultra running is, because we are mostly white. I mean, it is getting more diverse, but you know, it is pretty crazy. But we get to do it. So I guess that's true for any of the races, but yeah, remembering that.
Thank you, Megan. That's awesome. I'm gonna stop recording and then I'm gonna sign us out.
That's okay. You know what I